I want to start off this video by saying I'm in a rather odd position because I do know all the information, I do know all the answers, and because I do, that's why I even make some of these update videos or some of these community posts and whatnot. This is basically me to take a self-aware moment to address anyone that is probably asking questions, probably so skeptical on a few things, especially with the last video. I understand, so I'm gonna do what I can to answer what I can based on what I can talk about. Because again, I'm in a position to where I know things, but I can't even speak on them, because unless I get the okay from Coban to speak on certain things, because at the end of the day this is personal life, then I would be able to, and I will when I can. That being said, for instance, I understand the question of, well, is he only relying on these donations and whatnot? He isn't. And matter of fact, he's working on his own routine, his own means of making money. He was in a position recently, as a matter of fact, where he couldn't do anything. And again, without full context as to what that is, I understand why that sounds bizarre, but believe me, based on what I know, which again, I have to be very articulate on how I explain things because I can't necessarily talk on the specifics, but he was in a position to where he couldn't do much of anything. As a matter of fact, he was stuck in place, is how I'm gonna word that. And so now, right now, he's in a position to where he is trying to make his own means of money and whatnot. So again, he's not solely relying on donations. This isn't about paying his bills. This is literally just about putting food on his plate, because he doesn't have as much as you would think right now. That's how I'm gonna put that. Again, it's a very, very odd position to be in. In fact, to give you an analogy, think of the actors that are in these big blockbuster movies to where they can't really speak on spoilers, right? But they know everything, right? They get asked these questions in interviews like, oh, what about this and what about that? And they know the answers, but they obviously can't speak on it. I'm in the same position, which hopefully that analogy makes sense, to where I'm not able to answer certain things at this time. However, as I've also taken the time to point out, there will be more than likely at this point, because initially the first video I even made, which was just to let y'all know that he is alive and that I'm in contact with him, that initially I thought would be the last update video. However, that's obviously not the case. Circumstances changed. So I bring that up because there will probably be more updates over time to gradually give y'all more information. It's at his pace. I'm going at his pace. This is on when he feels comfortable with X, Y, and Z, and when he wants to do X, Y, and Z. I'm working around that kind of schedule. Again, there are things that we are working on behind the scenes that is especially tailored to IRL for him. And so, to say the least, when I'm able to explain those things, again, it would make sense to, I would imagine, virtually anyone, if I was given the okay to speak on them in detail and whatnot, these different situations that he's got to deal with. It goes beyond the drama stuff, right? It goes beyond YouTube. It's literally IRL stuff that he's dealing with that is effectively holding us back from getting more information out there. There's things that he has to deal with first before he's in a position to do anything else. And that also means that I have to wait until he's settled these things before we can make a next move. We're basically playing chess. Take that as you will, but yes, we're effectively playing chess. We're moving our pieces when we can, when the time is right, when he is able to, and obviously ergo then when I am able to. So, just to say this here again, based on the last update, the latest one, you do not have to donate, especially if you're one of the skeptical ones who is otherwise hesitant, which is why I also said, if you don't want to, you don't have to. That's why it's an optional thing. Nobody's gonna be holding one of Shadow the Hedgehog's guns to your head telling you gotta do it. It is nothing of the sort. If you can't, if you don't want to, don't do it. As simple as that. There's no pressure, and you don't gotta feel bad about it either. This is going to help him, obviously. he's in a position where he does need it, because initially he didn't. As a matter of fact, when I made the update that I did, the first one, he didn't. This is almost me kind of like podcasting this, if you will, to try to give more context where I can. Again, this is just a strange position to be in, to where there's certain things that I can say and certain things that I can't. But I'm ideally going to see that over time I'll be able to give more, so that there's less questions, obviously. But I understand why there is questions. I understand why there is skepticism. I get it. I do. I really freaking do. I don't blame nobody. I really don't. I really don't. But I'll do what I can. I'll try to answer. I know that there might be more questions, and perhaps the comment section of this video. This isn't really an update video, this is just me answering what I can. So if there are questions, I'll be expecting them, and I will try to answer as best as I can to the best of my ability. And I apologize that I have to be vague in certain ways. I know, again, this is me being self-aware and saying, I know, I have to be freaking vague. It's freaking awkward. But I'm gonna do what I can. So, with that all being said, please, as always, be sure to stay safe no matter where you live or where you go. Take care, both mentally and physically. Hopefully this clears up at least some things. I know it's not going to answer everything, but again, over time, I'll get y'all more answers. Also, side note, if you've heard any background noise, it's my cats. Anyway, I hope all y'all have a gosh darn good one. And as always, peace, Cobanermites.